Gluten-free cooking and baking.
Hello and welcome to our channel. Today, we're excited to share another scientific clip about fighting obesity. Please remember to subscribe and like our channel. Our goal is to combat obesity, and we're thrilled to have you join us in this journey.
Gluten-free cooking and baking is a popular dietary choice for people who have celiac disease, gluten intolerance, or wheat allergy. Gluten is a protein found in wheat, barley, and rye, which can trigger an autoimmune response in people with celiac disease, causing damage to their small intestine. Even if you don't have celiac disease, some people choose to adopt a gluten-free diet for various reasons, such as improving digestive health, managing symptoms of other autoimmune disorders, or promoting overall wellness. Gluten-free cooking and baking can seem daunting at first, but with some helpful tips and tricks, it can be a fun and enjoyable way to explore new flavors and ingredients. Here are some gluten-free cooking and baking tips to help you get started. 1. Know your gluten-free flours. One of the most important aspects of gluten-free cooking and baking is understanding the different types of gluten-free flours available. Some common gluten-free flours include rice flour, almond flour, coconut flour, and tapioca flour. Each flour has a unique texture, flavor, and baking property, so it's important to know how to use them effectively in your recipes. You can experiment with different flour combinations to achieve the desired texture and taste for your dishes. 2. Use xanthan gum or guar gum as a binder. Gluten is a natural binder that holds together the ingredients in baked goods, and without it, gluten-free baked goods can turn out crumbly or dry. To achieve a similar binding effect, you can use xanthan gum or guar gum, which are plant-based thickeners. They help create a smooth texture and hold together the ingredients in gluten-free doughs and batters. You only need a small amount of xanthan or guar gum for each recipe, typically around 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon per cup of flour. 3. Don't overmix your doughs and batters. When working with gluten-free flours, it's important not to overmix your doughs and batters. Overmixing can cause the baked goods to become tough or gummy. Instead, mix the ingredients until just combined, and avoid using a mixer on high speed. You can also let the dough rest for a few minutes before shaping or baking, which allows the flours to absorb the liquids and create a smoother texture. 4. Replace wheat-based ingredients with gluten-free alternatives. If you're adapting a recipe that contains wheat-based ingredients, such as bread crumbs or pasta, you can replace them with gluten-free alternatives. For example, you can use gluten-free bread crumbs made from rice or corn, or use gluten-free pasta made from quinoa or lentils. You can also replace wheat flour in a recipe with a gluten-free flour blend, which is a mixture of different gluten-free flours designed to mimic. 5. Check your ingredients for hidden gluten. Gluten can be found in many unexpected ingredients, such as soy sauce, Worcestershire sauce, and beer. It's important to check the ingredient list and labels carefully to ensure that the products you're using are gluten-free. Some manufacturers may also use shared equipment or facilities, which can lead to cross-contamination with gluten. Look for products that are certified gluten-free by a trusted third-party organization, such as the Gluten-Free Certification Organization, GFCO. 6. Explore new ingredients and recipes. Gluten-free cooking and baking can be a great opportunity to explore new ingredients and recipes. There are many delicious and nutritious gluten-free foods available, such as quinoa, brown rice, chickpea flour, and almond milk. You can also try new recipes that are naturally gluten-free, such as stir-fries, salads, and soups. 7. Pay attention to texture and consistency. When working with gluten-free flours, it's important to pay attention to the texture and consistency of the dough or batter. Gluten-free doughs tend to be more crumbly and less elastic than wheat-based doughs, so you may need to adjust the amount of liquids or use a different binding agent. For example, you can add a bit more oil or eggs to a dough to create a smoother texture. You can also experiment with different binding agents, such as chia seeds or psyllium husk, which can add a bit of elasticity to gluten-free doughs. 8. Use alternative sweeteners. Many traditional sweeteners, such as honey and molasses, contain traces of gluten due to cross-contamination during processing. To avoid gluten, you can use alternative sweeteners, such as maple syrup, coconut sugar, or stevia. These sweeteners are also lower in calories and have a lower glycemic index than traditional sweeteners, which can help stabilize blood sugar levels. 9. Don't be afraid to ask for help. If you're new to gluten-free cooking and baking, don't be afraid to ask for help. There are many resources available, such as cookbooks, online forums, and support groups. You can also seek advice from a registered dietitian or a professional baker who specializes in gluten-free cooking. They can offer guidance on ingredient substitutions, recipe modifications, and baking techniques. 10. Practice patience and persistence. Gluten-free cooking and baking can be challenging at first, but with practice and patience, it can become second nature. Don't get discouraged if your first few attempts don't turn out perfectly. Keep experimenting with different ingredients and techniques until you find what works best for you. Remember that gluten-free cooking and baking can be a fun and rewarding way to explore new flavors and expand your culinary skills. In conclusion, gluten-free cooking and baking can seem intimidating, but with the right tools and techniques, it can be a delicious and healthy way to enjoy your favorite foods.